Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Jess from Plannerflotsam, and today I am going to go through two of my older passion planners and just show some of the ways I used them as a special education teacher. One thing, if you're a teacher period, but especially if you're a special education teacher, you have tons of meetings to juggle, you have student contacts to maintain, you've got IEPs to write, you've got meetings to set, on top of lesson planning, and also, maybe having a little bit of time for yourself now and then. So Passion Planner really helped me get on top of things. And so I am going to kind of flip through and just show you how I progressed through using the different planners and some of the techniques. So hopefully this will help some of you who are teachers. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm a stay-at-home mom now, but I was a teacher, a special ed teacher for 7 years. And so the first 4 years were significantly more difficult. And once I got a passion planner, things got a lot easier. The first thing I did when I started my passion planner in 2017 was I decided I wanted to wrap up all of my IEP paperwork as close to January as I could, because there's always stuff by the end of the school year that you've got to get done. And so here you can see, and don't worry, obviously confidentiality is really important. I made sure to go through and check that everything was just my coded initials. These are students that have aged out of the public school system. There's no first names used, so don't worry about that. And also keep that in mind if you're someone who is a teacher and wants to post your stuff on Facebook, or on Instagram, which obviously I do. Use things like code names or initials, things like that. So anyway, here is my passion roadmap for my very first passion planner ever, and it was just to get IEPs done. I needed to do accommodations, get those distributed at the beginning of the school year. I needed to get transition assessments done, staffings, all of those things. So I put them in order and I wrote down what date they were done, and that's where I started. I also made a point of doing this, strive to do at least one productive thing every day before 10. And I always tried to do that in regards to getting me toward this goal. My November spread, I made a chart that I actually just made on an Excel spreadsheet and I typed it up. And this was my winter IEPs that I wanted to get done. And I had their due date, what type of meeting it was, which if you're a special ed teacher, there's MEGs, there's consent, there's IEPs, they're all different things. And then I had the date when they were actually due. And you can see they were all very close together. So I needed to get a start on that so I wouldn't have 5 IEPs all in the same week. And then, because it makes me feel better, I made myself a column for having set the meeting, held the meeting, and finalized all of the paperwork. Also did a thing. You'll see on the weekends, I didn't write in these little dots. Those little dots were ways for me to incentivize myself to get work done on the paperwork. So every day, if I got 3 things done toward this goal, I got to fill in those little dots. And so that was nice. I obviously gave myself the weekends off because you got to have some time to yourself. But yeah, so that helped me stay motivated and organized in the monthly view. You can see this is now August of the following school year, and I wanted to start strong. So my monthly game changer breakdown was the IEPs. I was doing peer tutoring training. I needed to get stuff done for talking to parents, things like that. And so yeah, I made my game changer goal about getting those initial contacts and things like that done at the beginning of the school year. Is an example weekly spread. I was trying to find my planner style, and it has continued to change, but you can see I made little checklists for doing all the, the important stuff. Down on my work to-do list, I would do things like set 2 meetings. Number 1 and number 2 are set. Things like that to help me work toward that. And then here, because one of the things you have to do, so here's the 3 November prep bonus work. So that's what also ties into those little dots in my monthly spread. And then here, I started making lists for sending things home. So when you're a special ed teacher, sometimes you have to send home progress reports. You have to do that. In my district, it was quarterly. You might also have to send home like information about Special Olympics or something like that. And so I started writing those down in the space of infinite possibility just so I could make sure I sent them home, because sometimes a kid might be sick, or maybe a grades weren't in or something like that. And so this made sure that I kept track of everything. Here is another example just of a weekly spread where I had a lot of work stuff. You can see I had my little dots to try to keep working toward that goal of having as much done as I could. I broke down all of the things that I did for those IEPs, and you'll see later on I make stickers so that it's all together. But then here, you've got the work to-do list, and it's pretty much all IEP stuff. And I used to get really frustrated when I had to reschedule stuff, but then I just started saying, oh, you know what? If I have to reschedule it, I'll just write it in a cute way with a cute pen and it'll be all right. So here is when I started actually writing out a checklist. Again, I wasn't using actual sticker paper yet, but I typed up this Excel little spreadsheet for myself. And in my district, there were tons of steps, and I'm someone, I've got ADHD, and I work really well when I can check something off. And so having this consistent checklist, I would just print off, like 10 of them on one page at a time and cut them out and have them ready to go. And so when you're juggling, like this week I had 3 IEPs I had to prepare, and I think it might have been parent-teacher conferences or something, I don't know. But I had 3 IEPs I needed to prepare, and so by printing it all out, I could mark off when it was finalized, is when it's filled out. An X means it's drafted, because at my school district we had to draft things and then send them in and then do revisions, so I could go back and do that. But it was just so nice to have a little place where I put their initial and then I put what step I was on for their IEPs, because there's so many little steps, and it made me feel better when I could actually get credit to myself for those steps. But more than that, I actually turned in all of my paperwork on time and more orderly, and didn't have to go back and redo stuff like I might have had to in the past. And you can see, put it right there. This is all school related IEP stuff, work checklists, things like that. Oh yeah. So here, like I showed you before, I started making checklists for my caseload. So these were, and obviously you can see I needed to correct checklist stickers, but I started making stickers. These are all of the students that I had on my file load. And I know there are a lot of teachers out there with like 4 times as much. I teach kids with pretty significant disabilities, and so one of the nice things about that is I have fewer files. But these are all my file kids, and so obviously I needed to add one because one got added, and that happens regularly. But these were students I needed to have staff meetings on, because so this was August, this was the first week of the school year. And so I needed to distribute accommodations to all of their teachers, and I needed to have staff appointments on all of them. And so having these stickers ready anytime there was something that I needed to distribute to all of my file kids was super handy, because I would just say, okay, I've got to get this permission slip out to all of my students. Bam, put that on there. Okay, it's time for progress reports. Bam, put it on there. Made things so much simpler than having to go through and handwrite it, and it made sure that I didn't skip any kids. So that was really helpful. I also started making little self-care stickers, because we have to remember that too. So yoga, vitamins, skincare, we got to take care of ourselves, because special ed is a hard thing. So anyway, that was this one. This was a very heavy IEP week. As you can see, I've got an IEP this day, an IEP or a meeting this day. Progress reports were due, so I had that going on. I blocked out all of the work, and you can see, pre-checks, IEPs, late start, things like that. And down here, I used my stickers. I started actually using them even more detailed. So if I had printed the progress reports, I got to check it off, and I've sent them home, I got to check it off, because I was able to put 20 of these stickers on a sheet, print them all off, have them ready to go. And it always makes me feel better when I can check things off. So that really was a lifesaver, because it always happens. Things like this always fall on the week when you already have like 5 IEPs planned. And so being able to do that really, really helped. These were the meetings. I made myself an extra little chart to show that the meeting was set. I had done the paperwork, I had held the meeting, and I had finalized it. And so I had the meeting type over here, and just using that entire space for IEP stuff was really, really helpful. Okay, so for the type of testing that my students do, it's called DLM testing. And the way it happens is there would be like 10 little modules that they'd have to do, and each one would only take a couple minutes, and it was always kind of a drag. And so I made this checklist for them, and you can't see it here because I have their first names, but the names are written next to each one, and as they finished them, they got to watch me fill out the thing. So as it got closer and closer to them being done, they were still willing to participate because it was like, oh, we're almost there. We're almost there. And here again, it's progress reports, end of the year instruction forms, things like that. Anytime I had to do something with all of my students, that is what I used. Yeah, that is how I used my passion planner while I was teaching. Like I said, I'm a stay-at-home mom now, and so I'm not actually teaching anymore. But one thing that I just absolutely love about the passion planner is even when I was teaching and things were busy and they weren't easy, and I had tons of paperwork and things to do, passion planner gives you space for your personal to-do list. It gives you the space for the good things that happen. You don't always have to, it leaves you space to put an inspirational quote and put what your focus is. And so even on this is just a random page I turned to, even on a week like this where I obviously had tons of work things to do and I had, work every day and meetings every day, I still took the time to do self-maintenance, self-care. There were some fun things that happened in my classroom and at home. And I made sure to, look, I got cupcakes for my grandma. It must have been, it was her birthday. I did other things like that. And so that's one thing I like about passion planners. It really encourages you to have a balance. So anyway, if you have any questions, please let me know. If you are a teacher of any sort, let me know below. If you have any questions about what I did, I'd love to hear from you. It is a rewarding, but also can be a very, very frustrating job. So if you have any questions about Passion Planner or how I made the stickers, things like that, let me know, and good luck, and I will catch you next time.